Hello, hi, hey, my name is thekidisntalright, and welcome to Serial Killer Sunday! Woo! That was super exciting for the content of these videos. Excuse the fact that I look nothing like how I do in the actual video. I failed to realize until days later that I did not film an intro. So, there's that. This is the intro to my new video, which is Serial Killer Sunday. Today's video is going to be on Anatoly Onoprienko, and we're going to get into what he did. This is a new series on my channel, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe if you want to see future content like this. I upload every Sunday and Wednesday, or I try to anyway. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's roll the intro. Okay, so let's get into it. Today we are talking about Anatoly Onoprienko. So Anatoly, let's go over who he is, what his life was. So Anatoly Onoprienko was born in the Ukraine, and he was also known as the Beast of the Ukraine, or the Terminator, like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, boom boom kind of thing, you know. He had a total of 52 confirmed kills at the time of his arrest. There is believed to be more though, just because a lot of the known murders that we know about today all happened within pretty much 1 year. So there's speculation that there were quite a bit more just because of the inactive time between the killings. So it's kind of interesting. His crimes took place between 1989 and 1996. The vast majority of them did occur in 1995, 1996. That's when a lot of his recorded ones, the ones that we know of, occurred. His method of murder was typically shooting. He wasn't like one of those serial killers that started by hacking people up. He got there eventually, but he didn't start out that way. So it's kind of interesting as well. He was sentenced to death originally during sentencing in April of 1999. However, it was commuted later on to life in prison in August of 1999. So he was on death row for a very short amount of time. Nothing too crazy. And Anatoly did pass away in August of 2013, August 27th to be exact. Sorry, this is hot. It just got out of the microwave. Let's see the steam. Ooh. Still too hot. Okay, let's just move on while this cools off. So, his birth and his childhood. So it's like I said, he did grow up in the Ukraine around the Laskov region. He was born in July of 1959, on July 25th. 1959. He was the youngest of two sons. He did have an older brother. His older brother was named Valentin. There's some speculation as to whether or not his name was Valentine or Valentine or Valentin. Some of them have an E, some of them don't. It just kind of depends on what source you're looking for or looking at. But his brother was 13 years older than him. So that kind of leads me to think that Anatoly was probably not planned, you know, maybe not wanted. His father, Yuri, was a decorated war veteran from World War II, and his mother had passed away when he was pretty young. There is some differentiation between sources as to whether or not his mom was, or he was 4 when his mom passed away, or whether or not he was 1 when his mother passed away. So it was between the ages of 1 and 4. After her death, he was kind of passed around a lot. He went from living with his grandma to his aunt, and then eventually he just wound up in an orphanage. And Anatoly would actually later go on to say that, and I quote, he said in an interview that this predetermined his destiny and remarked that 70% of foster kids ended up in prison. I don't know how true to numbers that would be today, but I do know that a lot of foster children do end up in not great places or are abused and so on and so forth. The statistics for for kids who are in orphanages or who were adopted just aren't the greatest, to be totally honest with you. A lot of them just don't end up in very good situations. So it's unfortunate. But this was an orphanage in a little village. It's called Privet. No, I'm butchering these. I'll put it somewhere. But yeah, so he didn't eventually end up in foster care, whereas his brother stayed with his dad, Yuri. He also claimed that he felt anger over being put in an orphanage, and that around this time he began hearing voices telling him to do violent things. So there's that. He was never, as far as I could see anyway, or saw in any of the documents, he was never diagnosed with anything like schizophrenia. But schizophrenia does tend to develop a little bit later in life for men and women. So I don't know, maybe he had schizophrenia, and that's where these voices were coming from, telling him to do violent things. Throughout his adulthood, he just had like menial jobs, nothing crazy, nothing like that, just like little things here and there. And he actually didn't commit his first murder until he was 30 years old, which most people, if they're gonna be a killer, you can kind of tell earlier in life. You know, there are definitely some things that they look at, and maybe we'll do a video on that, of different types of characteristics that are common in younger children who might grow up to be serial killers. Who knows? So yeah, that's kind of interesting though. He was 30. Moving on. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the murders themselves. So the first murder that was committed was in 1989, and it was a family of 10. And I don't believe that they ever planned on murdering this family. It was kind of a robbery gone wrong situation. So Anatoly was in this house with an accomplice named Sergio Rogozin. I have his name written down here because it was a weird name. Him and Sergio went into this house while this family of 10 was gone, and they came back while they were in the middle of robbing this place, and they killed them. And they killed them with the weapons that they actually had planned to use for defense purposes, except this time they weren't used for defense because, you know, they killed them. So that's nice. But it was 2 adults and 8 children, and they were all shot. So, talk about murders. I feel like for your very first murder to be 10 separate people, I feel like that's intense. I feel like that's a lot. And I also don't feel like that's normal. But you're gonna see a pattern here, which is he kills families. So there's that. He also claimed, though, after this murder had happened with Sergio, that he and Sergio lost contact. Like, they just stopped talking to each other. Which I have to wonder why that is personally. You committed a crime with this guy. And also, at the same time, it doesn't really fit in with his modus operandi that we're going to kind of get into later, which is killing witnesses. Why would... I'm wondering why he didn't kill Sergio, who witnessed the murders. Was it because he was part of it, or is there something else going on? Because I've never been able to find anywhere Sergio going on to commit further crimes or anything like that. As far as I found, he's not a known serial killer. That being said, the same year, so it's 1989 still, he murdered 5 further people in a car. So he was planning on robbing this car. He did say, he confessed to these murders, but he said that he didn't plan on killing them. It was not intentional. He didn't really want to do that. It just kind of happened. So he killed 5 people, including an 11-year-old boy, and he shot all of them in the car, and then he lit the car on fire to try to get rid of evidence. So December 24th, 1995 is the next murder that we know of. So as I said before, like, it was really weird because We know that the time span was between 1989 and 1995. We know his first 2 sets of murders were in 1989, but everything else happens in 1995. So speculation is that this cool down period in between was too long, and that there's a high probability that there were plenty of other murders that were going on at this time that were Anatoly, but he never confessed to them. It's just strange that he would have such a big cool down period in between, especially when like freshly becoming a murderer, you know? So, December 24th, 1995, a family of 4 were killed with a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, which, if you kind of know anything about like gun laws, well, in the United States anyway, it is illegal to modify your guns like that. Like if you have a double-barrel shotgun, you're allowed to have a double-barrel shotgun, but you can't modify it in the sense of like cutting pieces off of it, scraping off serial numbers, like those types of things. Super illegal. It's kind of like a felony. You'll be arrested, you know? So, there's that. And then he set on fire. So he went into this house, killed a family of 4 with a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, and then he lit the house on fire again to try to burn any evidence. This is a little spicier than the black one, which is like good, but at the same time, no, it's good. It's good. So next murder happened January 2nd of 1996. Onoprienko allegedly killed another family of 4. And after this, he killed a pedestrian to eliminate witnesses. So he didn't burn the house down this time, but there was a witness, so he killed him. January 6th, 1996. You see this? They're like boom, boom, boom. So we have the 24th of 95, the 2nd of January, the 6th of January. Now, in this incident of these murders, he had allegedly killed 4 different people in 3 different incidents. And these were on the Berdyansk Dniprovskaya, I'll put that somewhere on the screen, highway. And he did this by stopping the cars, killing the drivers. And so they actually were able to kind of figure out who these victims were. One of them was a Navy ensign. They did have names, however, a lot of them I can't pronounce. So out of respect, I'm not going to try to and butcher their name. So the victims were a Navy ensign, a taxi driver, a cook, and an unidentified victim. So they were able to identify 3 out of 4. January 17th of 1996, a family of 5 were shot and killed, and their home was set ablaze. And then 2 potential witnesses were also killed, and they were able to identify these as well. So a 27-year-old railway worker and a 56-year-old pedestrian. So just some random person walking by at this point. So we have a railroad worker, and a pedestrian. So January 30th of 1996, we have another set of murders. We have a mother and 2 sons, and a 32-year-old visitor were shot and killed in the Festova Kievskat, not gonna try, it'll be on the screen, Oblast region in Ukraine. So that is a lot of murders just in January of 1996 alone. That is a total of, let's see, let's count, 4, 8, 16, 21 people in 1 month. 21. That's nuts. Then we move into February of 1996.
Hey, it's Editing Michaela here. So I realized while I was editing this video that I failed to include a
murder that occurred in February of 1996. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in now. I do apologize. Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting, so that's good. So we're talking about Anatoly Onoprienko. So on February 19th, 1996, he had shot another family of 4. The father and the son were were shot, and the mother was beaten with a hammer. Anatoly demanded money from the daughter, and when she refused, he beat her with a hammer as well. So that was another 4 family members that he had killed in 1996, February 19th, 1996. Excuse the fact that I forgot that. Moving on. Where another family of 4 were killed. The mother, the father, and the mother and father were fatally shot, and the 2 daughters, aged 7 and 8, were hacked to death with an axe. And then he killed a businessman and hacked his corpse up too. That was hot. So we can kind of see, like, as time goes on, that he is a little more violent with the murders, which isn't the most uncommon thing, I think, for serial killers. It's like, you already killed people. My nose is running. I think at some point, they're just like, I've already killed people, so why not just continue? You know, if I'm gonna go to jail, I might as well rack up a good number of people to go to jail for. I'd imagine that's how that works. I don't know. Oh, my fingers are so nubby. I'm so sorry. It's bad. All right, so that was in February. So in February, we only have the 1 documented killing of the 5 people. But the thing that gets me is why he chose to axe the children. So that to me doesn't make a lot of sense. And the other thing that we see is very repetitive, obviously, is like families being killed. I'm going to sit here and speculate that the reason he killed families is because he was upset about the fact that he got taken away from his, well, not taken away, he was given away, like given out of his family. They were like, bye, don't want you. And I think he was like really pissed about this. Well, obviously he was, but pissed enough to kill families? I don't know. That's my theory, is that he killed them because they were families. Not just because they were all robberies gone wrong. Because he did try to rob a lot of them. Moving into March though. So March 22nd of 1996, there was another family of 4 that were killed, and they're allegedly Onoprienko's last victims. According to him, he shot and killed all the family members and then set their home on fire to eliminate evidence. So these killings followed a pattern where he would choose an isolated house, make a commotion outside of the house to get the attention of the homeowners, and then he would go in and start killing all the occupants, starting with the oldest male that was present. And then he would move on to the next oldest female or the spouse, and then lastly, he would kill the kids. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I think is more heartless. Watching parents see their kids, like having parents watch their kids get murdered, or vice versa. I don't know which is worse. Because if I were a child and I were to see my parents get killed, obviously I probably wouldn't want to live after that. And vice versa at the same time. I don't know. That's a hard one for me. I don't know which one would be worse to experience. So afterwards, after he shot and killed everybody, you know, he would set the buildings on fire in an attempt to destroy any of the evidence, as we have discussed. So Onoprienko was captured on April 16th, 1996, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't really find any information as to how he got captured. He just did, like, just in jail. So his trial took place 2 years after the murders were actually done. So the last known murders were in 1996, means that he didn't actually get sentenced or start going through trials until 1998, which is a year before I was born. So his trial took place in 1998, where he confessed in the courtroom, and they had him locked inside of a steel cage. And one thing that I've noticed is very consistent with serial killers, as far as like Russian serial killers go, is that they do tend to keep them caged because of like the families and stuff. He was convicted of all 52 murders, and he was sentenced to death. That death sentence was later converted to a life sentence when Ukraine joined the Council of Europe. I think if you kill children, you probably deserve to die too. I'm just saying. I think that the death sentence... Maybe we'll do a video one day talking about my thoughts on the death sentence. Either way, Onoprienko died in Zhytomyr prison on August 27th of 2013 after 17 years in prison. And that's pretty much all we have on Anatoly Onoprienko. There's not a ton of information out there on serial killers from Russia or Ukraine or anything like that. It's actually kind of interesting because way back then, when Russia started seeing their first serial killers come up, they actually said, it's just a little side note, they actually had said that there's no way there could be a serial killer in Russia because that's a uniquely American thing. Because Americans do see we have a pretty high volume of serial killers in the United States, and like, I don't know why that is, but it's like a thing. There's a lot of them in the States. Some of the most prolific serial killers of all time came from the United States. Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Richard Ramirez, the Green River Killer, John Wayne Gacy, the BTK Killer. Like, all these people came from the United States, and they all did freaking horrible things, like absolutely terrible things. So that being said, that is the end of this week's Serial Killer Sunday. And I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and let me know who you guys want to see. I do love true crime. I like talking about it. I like learning about it. It's a good time. So stay tuned for next week. We will have a channel up, sure. We will have a new video up on Wednesday for a tutorial of some sort, makeup wise. If you guys have never been to my channel before, I do talk about, well, newly anyway, we'll be talking about serial killers once a week, as well as uploading a tutorial on makeup every Wednesday. As you guys can see, I do like my makeup. These videos might be me doing my makeup, they might be me eating, they might be talking or cleaning or whatever the case may be. We'll be doing something in these videos every single Sunday. And eventually I would like to get into missing persons cases and so on and so forth. But like I said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a comment down below for who you would like to see me talk about next, and I love you guys. Bye.